In this video, I'm walking you through how to do double switch no lift. For double switch no lift, you are going to need a yoga strap, you're going to need a yoga block, and you will probably, especially if it's your first time doing this or one of your early times doing this, have a cushion or two to pop underneath your head. It's going to help your spine relax so that your legs have to work harder, because we don't want your spine tensing up in this exercise. So let's get started. So pillow for underneath head. I've got a loop in my yoga strap, and I'm going to pull my yoga strap so that it's about halfway in between my knees and my ankles. I have the yoga strap tight enough so that when my feet are on the floor like this and I squeeze outwards with my calves, can you see how my knees are not really going wider than my hips? So I'm squeezing out in this direction, but my knees are not super sort of wide like this, nor are they trapped inwards. What we are going to be asking your body to do requires your toes, your ankles, your knees and your hips being in alignment. So that's another thing that I need to speak to you about whilst I'm facing this direction, is that you're going to be laying on your back with your knees bent. I want you to have your feet parallel like this. We don't want the toes turning out to the side. So you'll probably get yourself in this position and your toes are going to be turning out to the side. We are making sure the middle of the second and the third toe are in alignment with the middle of the ankle. So we're not going off the big toe because we'll splay our toes out to the side. We're keeping them nice and straight. When we squeeze out with the strap around our legs like this, the knees aren't going anywhere. They're staying at hip width apart. And then our yoga block is going to go in between our knees in this type of direction. So the whole of our legs are wedged and kept at hip width apart. The only thing you're going to have to be careful of here is your feet, that they don't start turning out to the side. So we are coming to our back. We're coming to a hook lying position. So for hook lying, you're on your back like this, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Your palms are facing upwards. And what you're noticing for here is just a sensation that you feel grounded and relaxed through the bottom of your rib cage, your lower back. You are not using your abdominals to draw your belly down to the floor. Your abdominals are completely relaxed. There's no tension there, but the lower back and the rib cage should be flat to the floor. If they are not, number one, put more cushioning under your head. So the more that you cushion up your head, you might need 2 or 3 cushions, the more you're going to feel how this sort of lower thoracic lumbar region starts to settle. So do put more cushioning under your head, but also experiment. So if your feet are really far away from your body, you might have to roll your pelvis forwards and lift up your rib cage. It might be a question of just bringing your feet a bit closer back to your body, and you'll feel how your pelvis can just like relax down onto the floor. So it is relaxing down onto the floor. It's not being held to the floor by your belly working. In the exercise, everything pelvis upwards is going to stay still and relaxed, or should be still and relaxed. So what you are not doing, as I said, is gripping your belly. You're going to try really hard to not grip your hands or grip your jaw or grip your teeth. Another thing to watch out for here is, as we start the exercise, you might notice that you're rocking your pelvis backwards and forwards like this, okay? There's no element here of a pelvic tilt. The pelvis stays still. The only thing that's going to be moving are your legs in opposite directions, but we don't want the pelvis rocking forwards and backwards. We want the pelvis to stay still, although you will feel muscles around your hips and pelvis wake up. So we're thinking about that parallel alignment through the feet, toes, ankles, knees and hips, making sure the feet aren't too far away from the body because it's going to make it harder to relax the lower back. And what we are doing is a simultaneous squeeze in of our yoga block with our knees at the same time that we squeeze out with our yoga strap. So it's like rubbing your belly and touching your head. You squeeze in with the knees, out with the lower legs, hold and release. In with the knees, out with the legs, hold, release. And you keep going with that type of momentum. So we're nice and slow, steady, calm, controlled. As you start doing this, what you are making sure of, number one, belly stays relaxed. Number two, pelvis isn't rocking forwards and backwards, it stays nice and still. And number three, that you're not lifting your big toe joints up off the floor. So a really common compensation here, because this is such a strange movement for most people's lower legs to do, a really common compensation here is that people roll their feet up off the floor. And what that is it's your ankle trying to compensate. So the feet and the ankles are trying to kind of rotate to create the movement. But what we want is your lateral outside edge calf muscles, pulling that strap apart. So it's a weird movement. It's a great exercise for tibial torsion. It's a great exercise for pelvic stability. And it's a great exercise for people with kind of outturned feet as well. So as you go through this exercise, it might still feel a bit awkward and weird, but it should start feeling a little bit more kind of familiar to you. You are hopefully going to notice that as you squeeze in with the block, your inner thighs into your hips are going to wake up. So that squeezing in of the block is waking up the adductors. It's going to be waking up sort of hip flexor stuff going on around here. And what you'll also hopefully start to notice that the squeezing out against the strap is translating into work through the outside edges of your calves down into the outside edge of your feet. But you'll also hopefully start noticing how the outside edge of your legs, kind of through the IT band and into the glutes and the side of the hips, also start waking up because of the strap. So that strap is waking up your kind of lateral chain of muscles at the outside edge of your leg. So don't be surprised if you really do start feeling your glutes as well as the kind of inner thighs and hips because of what the knee is doing. So you're keeping this nice and steady, really making sure that the breath is nice and controlled, breathing in and out of our nose, sending the breath to the belly, hands are relaxed, shoulders are relaxed, belly is relaxed, and the pelvis is not rocking backwards and forwards. That if your pelvis is rocking backwards and forwards, you're trying to use your pelvis in a way that we don't want here. What we are asking your body to do is to really just work your femurs, your tibia and your fibula through the lower legs, which is just a really hard, awkward movement. And the pelvis is like, don't worry mate, I'll help you out, but we don't want that happening. We want you to be able to kind of isolate the two. So really make sure that the big toe joints stay down on the floor. The feet are not moving or changing position. What is changing position is the lower legs are moving outwards, but they are not being rocked out by the ankles. So it's really about this area here working to create that movement as the knees move inwards. So that is double switch, no lift, and I hope you enjoy.